Hey everybody, it's your pal George Racy. These are 5 more comics from my spinner rack. Some of them are new editions. And let's do it, okay? I am a 30-year comic book veteran. I've inked pretty much every top book at DC and Marvel. The only one I never got to do was Daredevil, though. I love Daredevil. And I did a lot of crossover books that were pretty cool. So, Micronauts, man, I love this. The first issue was pretty good, and then the second issue, when Michael Golden drew the Micronauts fleeing from a push mower, that just hooked me in for the rest of the book. And it lasted 59 issues, and then it was relaunched for 20 issues. So Gil Kane came aboard. You know, you already had some great pedigree. You had Michael Golden, and then you had Pat Broderick, and you had some fill-in artists, but they were still strong. Love this cover, man. Totally. I was so thrilled to see Kane doing interior work, because he really didn't do a lot of that. He did a lot of covers because they were just quicker and they paid better. Now, Micronauts, during this time, actually a few months prior, Micronauts, Moon Knight, and Kazar, they went strictly to the direct market, the comic book shops, not on the newsstand. And I got a subscription to this and Moon Knight, and I think I got Iron Man and Daredevil too. It was like, get 3 subscriptions, get a 4th one free. Unfortunately, really ticks me off. Believe it or not, in the old days, I'm talking like all through the 60s, they actually would fold them and send them in a sleeve. This wasn't much better when I got this. This isn't the same copy, mind you. They put like almost like a brown paper bag wrapped around, fairly tight, glued down the middle. But this was exposed, and the cardboard was just, it wasn't even cardboard. It was just like wrapping, it was just paper. And, it snows in Pittsburgh for quite a long time, and then you got slush. So a lot of my books would get ratty, and it just pissed me off to no end. But I already subscribed. There was no recourse at the time. This is 1981, I think. So I ended up Ides Comics, which was the biggest shop in Pittsburgh area, and I think it still is. I had to go there and get them from the direct market, and I remember I didn't have a driver's license at the time, so I had to take a bus. So it was like a whole day sort of thing. So what happened is those 3 books. Standard comic was 60 cents. This had 15 cents more, and I didn't blink an eye because no advertisement, 100% content. Oh, shit. Shame on it. That's the only ad, I think, actually. Oh, man, the last page. Making a liar out of me. Will they? Oh, shame. Well, I mean interior pages. Okay, there. That's my caveat. Gil Kane's on. And Danny Bulanadi was really on Gil Kane with a mop. I'm sorry. That's a real dick thing to say. It's just very muddy, and it's unfortunate because I think he was fairly new. I think he might have been one of the Filipinos that came over with all those other talented people with like Alfredo Alcala, Rudy Nebres. But you know what? I can't say much better because I inked a 10-page Jim Aparo story in the late 90s, and I wasn't ready, and I did a shitty job. I was trying to do more of a Joe Sinnott type inks when I should have tried to do what Aparo would have done. The pencils were a lot looser, and at this point Kane's pencils were very loose, and I even called Aparo and apologized. He was very kind. It was just man, if I ever had a chance to re-ink that, I would. Anyway, Bug, one of the best characters, eating his snail biscuits, yum. And everybody's always grossed out by that. But what's funny is I've had escargot, which is just snails and butter and garlic, and it costs way too much, and it's good. You put anything, butter or garlic on it, gosh. So now you can see Kane in some of these posturing. That this is Force Commander, who was a good guy who fought Baron Karza in the first 12 issues that Mantlo and Michael Golden did. Mantlo wrote all these issues, by the way. When it got relaunched, Peter Gillis did it, and I really didn't care for it because there was no action. There was just not a lot going on. But it turns out, Force Commander's a bad guy. This woman here, she's really... I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. She's really an old woman, and she switched bodies because Karza and now Force Commander have... they have something called the body banks, and basically it's where old rich people can go get young bodies. And so there's the real person in the rebellion. So it's really like for the Micronauts lore. Bill Mantlo, who created this whole world building situation out of scrap, just out of nothing, he wasn't shy about integrating other comics like the Marvel comics. That's why they hadn't been reprinted for 40 years until now, baby. There's two so far, two omnibuses of Micronauts and ROM, which have a lot of Marvel characters in there. So, but anyway, Mantlo borrowed a little bit from Kirby's Fourth World, a little bit from the early Guardians of the Galaxy, because he was in suspended animation for 1,000 years, just like Vance Astro, and he borrowed a little from Star Wars. So and it made it fun, but he added just enough to make it unique. I like that. I like how Bellinati did that. Later on, like in the 90s, he became amazing. He did stuff over Paul Ryan and some others. When Paul Ryan and Tom DeFalco were doing Fantastic Four, it was great stuff. But, and I do like this effect on Commander Rand's glasses. That's cool. So, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff, too. And, I know I'm being unfair, but like I said, this continues from John Byrne's early era when he was writing and drawing it. It's a sequel from issue 236, which was about Littleville. And it was this little town and had these tiny, tiny characters. And what happens, Dr. Doom took the FF, put them under, got their minds transferred into these tiny, tiny little robots and androids. And Dr. Doom even went down there sometimes. He pretended to be this professor who at the same college that Reed was going to, and for some reason he gave Reed, like, he made him kind of thick-headed, and then he could gloat about it, and keep screwing with his funding and stuff. Croyer's so great, man. I used to draw him all the time. So anyway, this actually is the next appearance of Dr. Doom, and then after that, I don't know what happened. He came back to the FF. I don't know if it was mentioned, but at the time, copyrights, like, how can I put it? Licensed books and then Marvel books, which they owned the characters, they were cool at the time. There was a lot of stuff done, but they hadn't factored in the reprints later. Now that's an Al Milgrom page. It's kind of, his stuff. When he takes his time, he's good. So here's what happened: is he got stuck being small in this Littleville, and he eventually became Dr. Doom. When nobody was looking, I guess. I shall let the synth clone body of Vincent Vaughn serve me. Is that the same? That the same guy who was in Wedding Crashers? Maybe. Or maybe it's a pseudonym because he read this comic. Ooh. That's very Gil Kane. That is too. The way he creates lunging figures is just so amazing. So this is a bit of I don't want to say it's a swipe, but he was definitely looking at Michael Golden's cover for issue 12 for Croyer. And him fighting Dr. Doom. That is just great, great stuff. But then he finds that he can't move because the puppet master made a puppet of Von Doom, and there's flames everywhere. the team's leaving. That's a great pose. And he's like, your cursed clay has immobilized me, Puppet Master. My mind no longer commands my synth clone body. If you do not relent, I will perish in flames. Will you, Von Doom? Your synth clone creations were built to last, I thought. Oh, the fire may have some effect, like disfiguring Vincent Vaughn's handsome features, of which you were so proud, but then Dr. Doom is used to being hideous. Puppet Master, I swear to you, be it a year or a lifetime. I love that ending. That is badass. Badass. DC Sampler in the mid-'80s, they did, for 3 years in a row, they would do a sampler of what they were publishing. A lot of the new stuff, because, like, I don't even think they had Batman in here, because, you know, he sold himself. Fred Hembeck on the cover. Oh my God, I'm such a huge Fred Hembeck fan from, like, when he did his own books with Fantaco back in the late 70s. And then he did Marvel Age for a long time for Marvel. So here we go. This is all new content to promote DC's line. I had not picked up the first Swamp Thing that Moore and Bissett had done, but only because I wasn't. If it wasn't Lynn Wein and Bernie Wrightson, I just felt like I don't want to deal with it. And but amazing stuff. There's his version of Kirby's Demon. Man, that is stunning. So, thanks to this, I actually bought it. This one, Robotech Defenders. This is a real disappointment. It's Gary Cohn and Ron Randall, and it's like, she looks so indifferent. She's like, did I lock the front door before we left? It's just there. Real disappointment. Hunger Dogs, Jack Kirby's crazy. It was supposed to be the end of the New Gods situation. He's going to kill off Darkseid and Orion, but they just made action figures of his characters, so he had to change the ending, unfortunately. But I picked this up because I was intrigued. And all like that. Jerry Ordway cover, good lord. Dave Gibbons and Len Wein, and then later Steve Englehart took over Green Lantern, and it's so petty. Hal Jordan has resigned from the Green Lantern Corps, and his replacement is his greatest rival. And I'm like, well, screw it. You quit, you douchebag. You know? So, and you know, I started picking it because I liked him. I never was a Hal Jordan fan. I know that's a sin to say, but I always thought he was just kind of there. But anyway, who was a Marvel Universe did characters with all the stats and original ArtNet, so that was DC's version. This Spanner's Galaxy does nothing for me. It's basically this guy can transfer bodies with somebody in another planet or whatever. Nicola Cuddy does it, or Cutie, who I liked on E-Man, but Tom Mandrake, I mean, he's really new at the game, and he's doing the best with what he's given. You know, it's nice looking stuff. It's just, I don't care. This is a teaser for Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was originally called DC Universe Crisis on Infinite Earths. And the universe will never be the same. Yeah. Tori Force, I've done an episode on that. On my other channel, Drew Geraci Comics, Batman and the Outsiders. I jumped on board when they canceled Brave and the Bold. They had Aparo and then Mike W. Barr, who's a great writer, do Batman and the Outsiders. So it had a new character, Halo, Black Lightning from the 70s, Metamorpho from the 60s, Katana, and Geoforce. And it's a lot of fun. But then he quit, and the story's kind of meandered. So, that's a Superman killing time. Shitty covers by Frank Miller is what they should have said. I mean, look at that. Look at it. I mean, even though it's not very well visible, if you've seen those covers, you'd be like, you know, Miller was just effing with everybody. So anyway, this is a sequel from the successful Maxi series, which was 12-issue miniseries, Amethyst Princess of Gem World, and it's written by what's his name? I just mentioned his name, Gary Cohn and Daniel Mishkin, and originally by Ernie Colon, who did an amazing job. But this time it's Rick Estrada and Pablo Marcos. It's still strong. Here's Blue Beetle, a Blue Devil. It didn't last long because it was more happy-go-lucky. Not happy-go-lucky. It was just more lighthearted. Look at that bad registration on that. But if you're giving this shit away for free, why fuss? There's some woman, Lillian Stern, who I have no idea is. Maybe it's Howard Stern's cousin. She's talking about how great, World's Finest Comics is, and we couldn't call it that if it wasn't true. Well, it didn't last long. Legion of Superheroes and Teen Titans. They went to Baxter Paper. They did a softcover, hardcover theme, duplicating how books come out in hardcovers, like traditional books, and then a year later they do it. And I don't know if it lasted that long. I did a review of this, and it's really bad. Johnny Thunder. This time, Johnny Thunder is a woman, and she's a PI, which is kind of neat. Dick Giordano. That would be a draw. I never picked it up, but maybe I should. So, man, I'm taking a long time on this episode. I hope you don't mind. I like comics. Megalith with the first fully painted newsstand comic book. See? Because the painted books started with like some of the Marvel magazines, especially, something in the... what was the story with Doug Mensch and John Buscema drew it? It was about these little elf-type characters. Warriors of the Shadow Realm. That just had astonishing colors that were painted, I think by Steve Olaf, who was a pioneer in a lot of this stuff. So, anyway, it's done by Marx Texiera is the artist. I love it. I love it. Man, that's beautiful stuff. The Shape of Things to Come. I don't know what else he painted. He just did a lot of pen and ink work on Ghost Rider and other books. But it's pretty cool. It'd be neat to have seen him on like a sequel to one of the Marvel's books that Busiek and Alex Ross did. So I even forgive him for like not drawing any backgrounds. Ooh, there's a background, sorta. He gets away with murder when it comes to no backgrounds. But hey, people buy it, Larry Stroman's the same way. He does great stuff, and you just have to take their word for it where they are. Sam Marie, The Revengers. See? I'm dead now. Toy Boy. Exciting stuff, no? No. Wrath of the Spectre. This is around 1884. At this period, the direct market was just taking off big time for Marvel and DC. So what they did is they did a few original books, like DC did Camelot 3000, which was great. But then they also did a lot of high-end reprints of books that may not have sold well the first time. So like The Spectre by Michael Fleischer and Jim Aparo was very much a fan-oriented book. And they did that with Green Lantern, Green Arrow as well, because as much as hype as that book got, it really didn't sell well, and it got canceled quick for whatever reason. And Spectre, Adam Warlock, it got actually reprinted twice, the Jim Starlin era, as well as the Starlin Captain Marvel. So this was just, one of the things I loved it. Jim Aparo did most of the stories, but Michael Fleischer, what's interesting, I love his stuff because he's really into like revenge on a friggin' biblical level, because a spirit is like supposed to be like, I don't know, the vengeance of God or something like that. It's never been fully discussed, but he loves to do revenge type characters, and I love him for it. It's like Spectre, Jonah Hex, Ghost Rider, and then Haywire, which came out from DC in 1988, and I love them all. It's just like, hey, no putzing around. So this one is like issue 2. I just picked this up at Dave's Comics and Collectibles in Fayetteville, Georgia. Script Michael Fleischer, but it's Frank Thorne and Jim Aparo. This is from the, I don't know, like 73 or 74, and I think Frank Thorne's a pretty new guy at the time, because he wasn't on Red Sonja yet. I don't think they really, I don't know, but he wasn't on Red Sonja yet, which was like his big break. What I like is it's got a bit of, there's some panels where it almost has like an Alex Toth feel to it. You know, I could be full of crap because there's more detail than what Alex Toth would do, but there's just some panels. And then there's some panels where he's kind of channeling Bernie Wrightson. So, but I mean, the way he spots black areas, and then that's definitely like a Bernie Wrightson sort of face. Chop, chop, chop. Same fate as Doctor Doom. Now here's some Michael Fleischer, and then Russell Carley is a script continuity person. I think I read in Tomorrow's publication, it was either back issue or something, or Comic Book Artist, so they explained who that person was. But art by Jim Aparo, including the lettering, which was great. He had a great idea how to spread out the lettering without it competing. So he, you know, it was a one-man show, pencil, inks, and letters. So that must have been great for the editors. They must have been thrilled with it because they're like, we don't have to ship them all over the place. Okay, more. Famous scene. Bad guy gets turned to a block of wood, and not the saw. You're not going to use the saw. This is real. This is one of those things where I think the Comics Code kind of like, I don't know if they canceled the series or they just got a good talking to from the Comics Code, but that's great stuff. It's great stuff, I tells you. So, and there's another story in the back. Really, really enjoyable, really. And then I have Marvel Comics Presents. Havoc is the main feature, one of the X-Men. What happened is the first 10, 12 issues had Wolverine because he's the draw. It's an anthology book, and as I said in the past, anthologies don't sell that great because some people just want one of the characters, and then they have to spend for the others. Now this was like an extra quarter, and it had no ads. I mean, really no ads this time. Whoops. Yeah, I mean, there's the letters page, and then there's the intro. So this is Paul Gulacy cover. There's Havoc, and there is Doug Mensch and Paul Gulacy's creation called Cold Blood, and not to be confused with Cold Iron, who was the character in Rotor, which is on Riff Tracks. Great stuff. The Hulk, the Black Panther. I'll tell you about Black Panther in a minute. So Rich Buckler, Joe Rubinstein do the opening chapter, and I really like it. And then there was some other stuff. Eventually it turned into like half the book. There was one Ghost Rider story, and it was one Wolverine story, like all the way to the end, like issue 150, which is just absurd. But the real gem is it's like a 25 issue ongoing story about the Black Panther and going to apartheid and rescuing his mother. He got some kind of tip that she was there, and what's great is he did find her. She wasn't dead, and she became part of the cast. And really great stuff. See, I wanted to buy these books just for the Black Panther, but I mean, it just was too much. I was kind of tight on my comic book funds. There is Cold Blood and Rise and Shine. Doug Mensch and Paul Gulacy in the mid-70s, early 70s, they did Master Kung Fu. Took a book that only had a couple issues by Starlin and Steve Englehart, and they took it and made the book their own. Did some spectacular stuff. And then later on, they reteamed for Epic Comics, which was Marvel's creator-owned line that was throughout the 80s. They did Six from Sirius, and then they did the second one, Six from Sirius 2. And this is their latest. And what's odd is I think it's a brand new creation, but I mean, do they own it? I looked at the I love that duotone stuff. I mean, I looked at the indicia and I didn't see anything. The printing is really bad, so you can't see the little nuances that Gulacy's putting in there. So there we go. And I bought this mostly. Oh, another thing, I bought this specific issue. I have the Black Panther story collected in Marvel Masterworks. This is Hulk, which I've never seen. I don't know if it was in the Peter David Visionaries that covered this era, but it is Peter David and Jeff Purvis, who followed McFarlane. He had the unlucky, chore of trying to follow McFarlane, but Peter David did something brilliant. The Hulk was supposed to have been dead from a nuclear explosion, and it turned out he became just the Gray Hulk from like the first issue, and he's real devious. He's really unpleasant. He's not like the crybaby Hulk that's like, I want to be left alone. He works for a Vegas casino, and he works for the mob, and he's like a hitman, but he doesn't kill. He don't want to draw too much attention. So really good stuff. But I'll have to double check. I don't know, it's been a long time, but I bought this specifically for this, and good stuff. Let me know your comments below. Please hit like and subscribe, and tell a friend. Hit share, send it to a friend, and maybe I'll get even more new subscribers. Would be great, because all I do is comic books. I have no agenda other than the joy of comic books. And if you have other suggestions, leave them below. And if you have any points that contradict what I say, that's fine. I will not delete any comments ever. And I like when people posting, including myself, have conversations or comparing notes. Like I found recently, somebody posted on this channel or my other channel, Drew Geraci Comics, that I didn't know before. And it's kind of cool to learn this stuff through our Fellowship of Funny Books. So I wish you all the best. Oh, wait, I ain't done yet. Listen to me. Oh, I also do commissions. This is a commission I did for a photocopy of cover sketch of Groot. Oops. This is an 11 by 17 piece I inked over Jonathan Lau. It's 11 by 17, but I shrunk it down. This one, Kirby. I thought this would be easy, but it's tough. It's tough doing Kirby. Also, I had to cut. These didn't match up, so I had to light box and flip it over and all that stuff. But I do it all in ink. I don't do any, scanning or work on the computer. This is an image of Egghead. It's a poor print though, because I ran out of ink. There's Zatanna. And I'm pretty happy with that. It's pencil and ink by me. And there was a guy named Roberto who purchased it. And so I said his name backwards with like usual Zatanna backward gibberish. There's even more. Oh my gosh. Batman, Catwoman, Storm. I love doing that. I did that at a convention one time. That was another one I did from the late 60s. And He-Man by Mark Texiera again. It was just a figure. I drew everything else. I was sent reference from the client. It's not so cold. The client. And I think we made a pretty good team. That was from last year. If you want a commission, just email me, and we can talk rates. I'm not going to break the bank. I'm actually quite reasonable. Anyway, that's it. Oh, that was a fun little piece I did for a friend's daughter who'd like turned 13 or something. So that's it, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.